Imagine waking up in the middle of the night to the sound of slow, heavy footsteps inside your house. Not out on the street, not in a neighbor's apartment, but inside your own locked home, while everyone else is supposed to be asleep. In the autumn of 1986, Daniel and Martha Collins moved with their 2 children into a large, rented house at the edge of a quiet town. It was spacious, old, and the rent was unusually cheap. But the interior didn't feel right. Martha noticed it the second they crossed the threshold. The air felt heavy and stale, carrying a smell that wasn't quite rot or mold, just dead. They needed the space and couldn't afford to be picky. Daniel dismissed the atmosphere as a byproduct of an old, empty building. They unpacked their bags, rationalizing away the dead air and the landlord's odd behavior. The first night was quiet, until exactly 2:13 a.m. Martha was jolted awake by a distinct sound from the hallway, the deliberate, heavy creak of someone descending the stairs. Daniel grabbed a flashlight and checked the hall. He found nothing. The doors were still locked, the children were fast asleep in their beds, and the staircase was empty. At breakfast, their youngest son, Eli, sat staring at the stairs. He told his parents that a very tall, pale man had been sitting there in the middle of the night, a man who smiled too much. Eli said the man had leaned close and told him specifically not to tell his parents he was there. The presence in the house had bypassed the adults. By speaking only to Eli, it ensured that the one person who saw it wouldn't be taken seriously by the people who could actually protect him. Over the next week, the house grew more active. Hallway lights flickered every evening. Cabinet doors swung open on their own, and the storage room door was found standing open every morning, even when the family was certain they'd locked it. One afternoon, Anna screamed from the hallway. Daniel found her pointing at a family photograph on the shelf. The glass was shattered, and someone had used something sharp to scratch Martha's face out of the picture, obsessively gouging the paper until her features were obliterated. The damage to the photo wasn't an accident or a technical glitch. It was a physical, repetitive act, directed specifically at Martha. Searching for answers, Daniel entered the storage room and pulled up a loose floorboard. Hidden in the dust was a stack of old black and white photographs. The first several photos showed the house's staircase as it had looked decades ago, exactly as it appeared now. In the final photo, the stairs were no longer empty. A blurred, tall figure stood at the top of the landing, its mouth stretched into a wide, unnatural grin. This wasn't a new visitor. The smiling man was a permanent fixture of the house, documented and hidden away years before the Collinses ever arrived. Daniel took the photo to the landlord. The man's face went white the moment he saw the blurred figure on the stairs. He didn't try to explain it away. He admitted that a previous tenant who lived in the upstairs room had vanished without a trace, leaving all his belongings behind as if he'd just stepped out for a moment and never returned. The landlord confirmed that almost every family who lived there afterward reported the same thing. Someone sitting on the stairs in the dark, watching them. The cheap rent was a necessity. The landlord was knowingly placing families in the house to keep the property from sitting vacant, despite the history of what happened inside. That night, the routine broke. The footsteps didn't wait for 2 a.m. At 11:47 p.m., the stairs began to creak. The steps were slow and heavy. For the first time, they didn't stop halfway down. They continued all the way to the ground floor. Daniel turned on the hallway light. Peeking around the corner of the banister was a pale, unblinking face. Its mouth was stretched open in a physically impossible smile, frozen and silent. As Daniel rushed forward, the face vanished. In its place, 4 fresh, deep fingernail scratches were carved into the wallpaper, physical marks left on the house itself. The entity had moved beyond sounds and shadows. The scratches on the wall were permanent evidence that it was no longer staying on the stairs. At dawn, the family fled. Martha packed the car while Daniel watched the hallway. They didn't discuss it. They just left. Before they walked out, Eli looked back at the stairs one last time. He told his mother the man was sad to see them go, because he thought they were fun. As he spoke, Eli's own face contorted into the same wide-stretched smile from the photograph. The house was rented once more after they left. The new tenant stayed only 12 days, leaving a note for the landlord that read, "There is a man on the stairs, and he smiles when we sleep." Some histories aren't just remembered by a house, they are still living within the walls, waiting for the next family to turn out the lights.
If you enjoyed this nightmare, subscribe to Mr. Half Night for more horror stories at